Game Time Live from the NBA Finals 2019 is presented by YouTube TV. Watch every NBA Finals game live with YouTube TV. Try it now.
You know, everybody loves a Game 7, right? Those folks out there want no part of it. They're wet. They've been standing out there for hours and hours and hours, and they want a celebration tonight and a parade later in the week here in Toronto. But the Warriors will not be easily dismissed. Remember the last 4 times the Dubs have held off elimination with wins. Klay Thompson has averaged 31 a game. Of course, he had 28 in his return from the hamstring injury in Game 4. Ahead of tonight's Game 5, he spoke with Kristen Ledlow.
First and foremost, how are you feeling physically?
I feel good. Bordering great. Close to great, yeah. By tomorrow, I'll feel great.
Okay, well then what have these non-game days look like for you?
Man, a lot of time on the training table. It's not very fun, but you just realize it's a part of the journey and makes the story that much sweeter. Especially when you get older, inching close to 30. Got to see that training table more often than not, so it's a part of the game.
It's not the first time that your team has faced a 3-1 deficit. How much confidence is stemming from knowing how to overcome it?
A lot, honestly. I mean, it's not fun being in this position, but it's a challenge that we've seen before. And it's something we've been on the other side of and lost the lead. So it does take a little pressure off you knowing that you've done it in both scenarios. So for us, it's about going out there, tricking yourself in the mind that you have a free swing. You know, the pressure's on the Raptors to try and bring home this first championship to Canada. So it's on us to deny them that right tomorrow. And, you know, if we got to harp on old experience, obviously that series in 2016 is fun to go look back on. But the championship also, you can draw from too, and how we were up 3-1 and kind of relax, let our guard down, and let Cleveland get back into it. Who knows? You know, I know the Raptors got some tremendous professionals on our team. They probably won't let that happen, so we're gonna have to go take it and instill our will. But if there's a team to come back from it, I think we could be the ones.
Well, as Klay referenced, they have been in this position before. 2016 Western Conference Finals. Klay went for 41 on the road to extend that series, which of course they won in 7 games, eliminating Kevin Durant before he would join them later that summer. However, it didn't go as well in the finals in 2016 when the Warriors became the first and only team to fail to hold a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals. In fact, teams with a 3-1 lead in the finals are 33-1 all time. That one, of course, the Cavaliers come back 3 years ago. It's maybe not a completely fair question because we don't know Kevin Durant's complete availability. We don't know at what level he might be able to play tonight or for how many minutes. But what do the Warriors need to extend this series? What's number one on their list of things to do?
The first thing they got to do is they have to win the first quarter of tonight's game. Because if they can win the first quarter of tonight's game, then they put all the pressure on the Raptors. And this building will be, you know, emotionally charged at the start of the game. So their first 5 minutes of the game is going to be very crucial in terms of the way they start. And if they get a lead, then Toronto could have some difficulty handling and managing their emotions, because this is a city right now that's preparing for a championship and preparing for a win, but they haven't won yet. So emotionally, you have to stay in the present and you have to stay here. And if this game gets off to a rocky start for them, you know, this could be a tough night for the
Golden
home team.
State, sorry to interrupt, Golden State has trailed by double digits now in 7 straight games. They're not getting off to good starts.
Yeah, and I also, to Isiah, he said it best. They have to have a lead to take this crowd out of it. I also think for the Golden State Warriors, we love the three-point shot, but they're not getting any points in the paint. They got to find a way to get those easy backdoor layups, or Kevin Durant in mid-range where he just collapsed the defense, open it up. To me, it's been all perimeter. And then because they're not getting stopped, they can't get out in fast break and get some easy opportunities. So they got to make shots, they got to defend. And I think for them is they got to get some points in the paint, whether it's off the drive or the free throw line.
They've yet to reach 40 points in the paint in this series.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, they've not been the same. There's not that balance between three-point shooting and points in the paint, as you're saying, Smitty. But defensively, I mean, we talked about shooting of Toronto, and how many times just more open shots, breakdowns defensively, just something that we're not really accustomed to seeing with Golden State. I thought one of the things that's made this team, the last few years so good was how they can lock you down and suffocate you on defense. And to think that they can come do that now may be a bit much to ask, but I think if they can focus on the defensive end, as you said, create, get stops and then get out in fast break, where now Toronto's defense is not set up. And now you can run to the three-point line, run for layups, get some easy baskets, which will then lead to what you're saying, Isiah. You get off to a good start and take this crowd out of the game.
It's interesting because all season long they were not the elite defensive team that they have been under Steve Kerr, 11th in the regular season. But really, to me, this series is the first time in the playoffs where that defense has really been exposed, and particularly Smitty in the pick and roll, the Raptors are picking them apart.
Yeah, and we'll get a chance to watch this, and the reason why is they're used to switching. That Hampton's 5, and let's watch. Here's Kyle Lowry, great screen set by Marc Gasol. Unfortunately, Boogie coming back from injury, Isiah and Grant, he's just in a bad situation. He doesn't want to attack Kyle Lowry because he doesn't want him to go around him. Miss or make that shot, they're just off kilter. This is used to be a switch. Now it's a hedge. Draymond is pointing. Quinn Cook is not knowing whether they're switching or not. It used to be automatic. Then look at Steph. He doesn't even take a step. Klay Thompson's the last line of defense, and he has Kawhi, but he's not used to being in that situation because they usually switch and no one has an easy run. That's just too easy from the Golden State Warriors, especially where they're not making shots and they don't have Durant. Last you see now, the screen comes up. Looney has done a nice job. He's one of the bigs, other than Cousins, that can switch. But Kyle Lowry's done a fantastic job. Another reason right now is no one's even thinking about it, Isiah and Grant, of helping because they're not used to this. They usually can stay at home because it's a switch. Siakam gets it. The pass wasn't even on the money. He reached back and got it. There's so many easy, Grant, layups just off a simple pick and roll, one bounce pass, and there's no another skip pass, just right straight line to the rim.
And that's what's awkward, Smitty, because they played against Houston, and Houston is going to give you a steady diet of screen and roll with Harden, and I thought they did a good job of switching and then all of a sudden making you play one-on-one. But those type of breakdowns, right, that's just easy basketball that Toronto's done. And that's, like I said, it's not something that we've seen historically from this team, this Golden State team, which makes you think that they're just the connectivity, because defensively they're not on the same page. Too many breakdowns for a team that's in the NBA Finals. Just not something that you're accustomed to seeing.
And if Durant is mobile, maybe that's where he has a real impact on this game tonight. The Warriors would be able to play a little smaller the way they like to, and maybe not be as vulnerable against that pick and roll. They've won 6 of their last 8 when facing elimination under Steve Kerr. Speaking of Steve Kerr, he's loose and he can still shoot. This was earlier today. Steve from half court.
George Gervin finger roll.
Maybe he'll suit up.
Kind of a bowling motion.
I don't think they need any more offense, Grant. Get somebody to defend.
Yeah, he still got it.
That's the finger roll.
You got to guard him out of the three-point line at least. Off a reputation.
Wherever he is on the floor, you got to guard him. He is the all-time three-point percentage leader. Is to eliminate the defending champs for the Toronto Raptors and their rabid fans outside in Jurassic Park. Back inside Scotiabank Arena, Kristen Ledlow with Warriors head coach Steve Kerr.
With KD expected to return, what have the last 48 hours looked like leading up to this decision?
A little brighter. Kevin's pretty good, so he's going to play tonight, and it'd be great to have him back. But we know we have a lot of things that we've got to clean up from the last couple of games. Toronto's been great in this series, and it's not over. So we got to just get the momentum in this game early, go out there, find a way to get a win, and everything changes with one game.
What then are your expectations for his return? Any limitations?
There's not a minutes restriction. It's going to be more based on how he's feeling. He hasn't played obviously in a month, and so we'll see about his conditioning. If he gets tired, we'll take him out, and when he's ready to go back in, we'll put him back in.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Guys.
All right, Kristen, so there you have it. Kevin Durant will play tonight, and Steve Kerr will see what he has to determine how long he's on the floor. He's not an other, and I could argue maybe some of these guys aren't really others either. You've got all-stars on this list. Danny Green once held the finals record for threes in a series. Pascal Siakam's likely to win Most Improved Player. but they've all put their stamp on this series, including Ibaka, who had 20 points in the Game 4 win on the road. Kristen with Serge.
After Game 4, Coach Nurse alluded to your defense sparking the production. How have you approached your role in this series?
Just putting my mindset and, try to go out there and try to help the team and bring some defense intensity, try to make different.
Why has this matchup with the Warriors been a favorable one for you?
Just the way they're playing, they play more fast, and so I'm kind of, center with, speed too and quickness. So I'm trying to use my quickness against them. It kind of work. It kind of match better, and also it's not only one person. It's teamwork, because every time I'm go help somebody and I'm trusting somebody's going to be out there to help me. That's why everything's working.
How do you think that your point guard, Kyle Lowry, has rewritten the narrative surrounding his postseason success in this series?
Man, Kyle be amazing for us, and he's a true point guard. Like, when you need a point guard and you have Kyle, and as a big, it's always fun to play with a point guard like Kyle. And, sometimes you see the stat, you see the numbers, like, oh, he didn't score, he scored less, but he did more than just score a point. He passed the ball. When Kyle is playing in his best, I'm not talking about scoring. It's not about scoring, but when he's playing his best, we always keep rolling. We're always rolling.
You've played with and against some of the game's all-time greats. Where does Kawhi Leonard rank on that list?
Man, Kawhi, he surprised me, man. Honestly, and seeing him playing at this level, it really surprised me because I remember I used to play against him a couple years ago. I know he was good, but right now he's in a superstar level.
Is it possible to quantify what a championship would mean to Toronto?
They deserve everything.
Thank you, Serge. Good luck.
Thank you, Kristen. In Game 4, Serge Ibaka became the first player since Vinnie Johnson to score 20 points on 75% shooting or better in a road finals game. Pretty good company.
That's very good company, and not to mention you got McAdoo down there, yep. Michael Cooper, but of course my favorite is Vinnie the Microwave Johnson, and
Isiah,
nobody's better on that list than him.
Was there any layup? There was just all mid-range shots, wasn't it?
All mid-range, and and when we look at this playoffs, the mid-range has been killing people.
See Kawhi Leonard, who can shoot from anywhere on the floor. And he's gotten really nice help from Ibaka, who has 9 blocks in this series, shooting 53% in this series. Pretty good luxury for Nick Nurse to have coming off his bench.
Well, and that's been sort of the big difference between the two teams. And it's been 2 guys right now offensively for Golden State, whereas with Toronto, multiple guys that you saw in that picture before, but Ibaka, who didn't play much in the last series, but now because of the size of Golden State, his speed, his quickness, his ability to finish at the basket, but of course, as Isiah talked about, his mid-range game, and a guy who's experienced. He's been in these games before. He's been in the finals with Oklahoma City, and he's played big, and I expect he'll continue to be effective for this team. But the balance, we talk about Kawhi Leonard, the others have stepped up, as we talked about, and have been great, and Serge has been great as well.
Matt, Isiah, and Grant, we saw that graphic of others. I think we missed out another other. Fred VanVleet has been fantastic. Yes. I mean, he's had the assignment to guard Steph a lot. He's averaging close to 13 points. He's knocking down big shots, and his confidence didn't waver. He had struggled throughout the postseason, and he's knocking down shots and playing like a veteran, Isiah, at that point guard position. And they're playing Kyle and Fred VanVleet together. And a lot of times those 2 guards are getting matched up and switched with some bigger guys, and they're holding their own.
Smitty, when you talk about those others, and we showed the offensive graph, right? But what those other guys are really good at doing, and as we see, he takes a nasty shot here, and he's really out. Knocked his tooth out and everything, but he's a gamer. Played at Wichita State, tough player, tough competitor, Rockford, Illinois. So he's going to come back. But defensively, right, those 5 guys that we talked about, those four of them, first, second, all-team defensive. And we thought that they would come in and put their stamp on this series defensively, but they've come in and put their stamp on this series offensively. And that's what I'm impressed about with these guys.
Well, Isiah, we shouldn't be surprised, though. I mean, think about it. When Kawhi Leonard was out, which he was out a lot, I don't know how many games, but they still had a really good record with Kawhi Leonard out.
Missed 22 in the regular season, yeah.
Yeah, and I think they had a winning record there, a good winning record, and Lowry had been out too. So your two main guys, your two all-stars, and these guys still rolled. And so maybe that helped them a little bit in terms of empowering them, giving them confidence, but they have stepped up, and they haven't all played well throughout the playoffs. They've struggled at times where it's been all Kawhi Leonard, but this series, they've been really, really good.
Van Vliet, by the way, is no worse for wear, relatively speaking. Easy for me to say. After a CT scan, a visit to the dentist between games after that shot from Sean Livingston, he should be available to go tonight. On the other side, Smitty, you know, the Warriors have been trying to work back so many of their star players from various injuries throughout this series. DeMarcus Cousins is obviously one of those guys. I was surprised he's even playing in the finals, but they couldn't keep him on the floor in Game 4.
You know, and he was fantastic Game 2 for them, and I think for him it's just unfortunate, and I'm happy for him because he did work himself back to be able to chance to play in this finals. He has never played in the finals, but the last game, the turnovers, he had no lift, and they were taking advantage on him on pick and rolls. And I think for him is he has to keep it simple, Isiah. Just post up, bang, they come double, kick it out. And I know he has that talent, and you want to show it all off the rim, dribbling, his passing. His timing is not there, and I just for him post up, rebound, do the simple things so he can be effective in this series.
And become a better screener.
Yeah.
If he becomes a better screener, he'll get shots because the screener gets the shot.
All right, much more coming up here. It's Game Time live at the NBA Finals presented by YouTube TV as Cuz and the Warriors face elimination tonight in Toronto. When we come back, we'll go outside Jurassic Park. Somewhere in that mass of humanity, the starters are ready with a live report.